Honest to goodness, I can't believe that I'm watching a Luka Doncic press conference where he's being introduced as a Laker while recording a Monday recap. We're living in a strange parallel universe right now, and I mean the fantasy enthusiast in me sort of doesn't care because one of the biggest trades arguably ever didn't change fantasy values all that much, but the Los Angeles resident in me, who's had the worst January ever, is feeling somewhat better about being in LA right now. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Besbris. You guys know I live in Los Angeles. I am it's not a quiet thing. I've had people that comment on how I have Lakers bias on my fantasy assessments, which is the dumbest comment I've ever seen in a laundry list of relatively dumb comments that have come in over the last 8 years. That's the most idiotic, because if you listen to this show even one time from like 2016, this is not this show, but it was the other show, from like 2016 to 2020, I basically didn't roster a single Laker, and I advised everybody, do not roster them, because Luke Walton was in there screwing with everybody. Nobody got consistent playing time, and the ones that didn't have fantasy value. I'm a pragmatic fantasy player. I want to win. In any event, we've got a lot to cover today. It was a busy Monday. There were 10, I think. Am I getting that right? 10 games on Monday night. We're going to recap those here in just a matter of seconds. Actually, screw it. Let's recap those right now. Hello, there we go. Find me on social media at Dan Besbris on Twitter, Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. Please make sure, subscribe. That's actually the big one here. Subscribe. We really want to grow Old Man Squad as much as humanly possible here, as we are like kind of near the stretch run of the NBA season now. We're 3.5 months in, just about 2 months left. We got the week off. We're doing it, guys. We're making it. So please hit that subscribe button. That's a big one. Atlanta beat Detroit on the road. A nice win for the Hawks. Larry Nance had a double-double in only 20 minutes off the bench. Not enough playing time, unfortunately. You're sticking with Okongwu there. You guys have pretty much been warned what you're going to get out of Risa Shea, which is scoring. He was more efficient in this one. That's good. And then DeAndre Hunter pulled off the boy-on. 20 points, 4 threes, and nothing else. Goose eggs in every other category, including turnovers, which he's actually kind of a tough guy to hold on to right now, but they need him to take a bunch of shots. So I'm going to stick with Hunter at least a little bit longer, because the other options out there are not a whole lot better. But not much to take away from the Hawks. Not much to take away from on the Pistons side either. Pretty much anytime Asar Thompson has a good ball game, I think you guys should be trying to trade him, because the Pistons are trying to win this year, meaning they're going to do what they think is best. And right now it's keeping Asar like kind of around 25 minutes, or treat him like an injured stash and hope that at some point the minutes trend up towards 30. If you could get Asar up to 28 or 29, I think he'd be a playable asset. But at 24, 25, it's generally not enough. And then Malik Beasley. Some of you guys keep yelling at me that Malik Beasley needs to be rostered everywhere. He doesn't. He's a threes streamer, and he's going to sit somewhere generally between 100 and 140. And that's fine. That makes him a very good filler level option. But that's basically where he's at. Shout out to Jalen Duren, who has improved his defense enough where Isaiah Stewart is not jacking all his minutes anymore. And it seems like he's settled into a better valuation now, probably in that kind of 75 range. And you can ride that if you want, or you can try to lock in corresponding player. Finally got a good game out of Bilal Koulibaly. Not surprising that it came against a Charlotte team that is absolutely terrible. But it is a glimpse into why we've called him trade deadline stash, an active stash right now for head-to-head. Keep doing that. Corey Kispert, hot game. Don't do anything with it. Kyle Kuzma, he's kind of cutting it loose here a little bit leading up to the deadline. I'm sure trying to get himself moved. There was a rumor that the Bucks are kicking the tire on Kuz, which would completely eliminate any value he might have right now. You guys know me. I pretty much dodge Kuzma everywhere. But if, as the report suggests, Chris Middleton is the guy headed back, he'd probably get rested a lot. But anytime he played, he'd be very good. So that's something to keep in the back of your brain. This is the run for Jonas Valanciunas. Alex Sarr is out. JV it's never going to get any better than this, no matter where he gets traded. Just enjoy it. Treat him as an injury replacement guy. I think that's all I wanted to talk about on the Wizards right now. I'm not stashing Bub Carrington. You're holding Jordan Poole. I'm not picking up Malcolm Brogdon unless his minutes get higher. I'm not stashing Keyshawn George. I'm not stashing Justin Champagnie. All of these guys are guys I would look at after the deadline, depending on what happens over the next couple of days. Mark Williams looks fine. 23 and 14. He's a beast. Nick Smith Jr. had 24 points. Didn't do a whole lot else. That's reason for concern. The 39 minutes is nice. And I can't get myself over the hump on Nick Smith Jr. I don't think there's almost any chance he's worth an ad in Roto. Head-to-head, he's kind of like a maybe, but you're not using a move this week anyway. Same story on Vasilije Micic. He's meh. He's meh. Decidedly meh. He's like the definition of meh. Josh Green is sub-meh. He's underneath that. I was wondering if Micic missed a game, if we might get like a bigger performance out of KJ Simpson, but Vasa didn't miss any time, so doesn't really matter. For, again, straight 9 cat, I don't think Nick Smith is going to get there. I don't think Micic is going to get there. Again, head-to-head, if these were guys that you were rolling with, whatever. But be ready to potentially drop them if something interesting happens leading up to the deadline. Rockets are banged up right now. No Alperen Şengün on the front half of this back-to-back. He's dealing with the calf stuff. I don't know if he's going to play tonight, waiting on a report there. Steven Adams had 8 points and 13 rebounds. He may or may not play in the back-to-back. Tari Eason, we pretty much know, will not. Eason's going to be amazing in games cap spots right now with so many guys out. He played 34 minutes here. Love, love, love. Amen Thompson, love, love, love. Cam Whitmore was a very popular 5-game pickup, and I think that's going to be a good decision because even if someone else comes back, someone else is going to go out in their stead. And by the way, it sounds like Freddie VanVleet is out a couple of weeks. So whatever you're seeing here probably has a little bit of length to it. Jayshawn Tate got the start, but was not inspiring. And Steven Adams didn't start this game, which is kind of interesting. Rockets ran small, and it didn't last all that long. So what do? Well, you got to watch the injury report at the very least. Rockets do tend to struggle without VanVleet. We'll see if they can kind of cover things up a little bit. Luckily, they have a pretty good lead in the Western Conference at 32 and 17. Nuggets aren't far behind, and then the Lakers are not far behind them, but they've got a little bit of a cushion if they go on a losing spell, and they've lost 3 games in a row right now. More so on the fantasy side, though. Obviously, Amen Thompson's going crazy. Eason's a start anytime he's in there. Depending on who's out, you might be able to start Whitmore. You might be able to roll Steven Adams and just pray he doesn't go to the free throw line. And then Jalen Green was a very popular sell high name a couple weeks ago, and hopefully you did that. For the Knicks, the starters included Precious Achiuwa in this one because there was no OG Anunoby. Initially, Deuce McBride was listed as a starter, and then the Knicks changed it. If Achiuwa starts permanently for Anunoby, he has a shot to be kind of like in that 110 range, which is playable in most formats, kind of a rebounds, steals, field goal percent guy with not a whole lot else. But the nice thing about the Knicks is that anybody that gets in there to start is going to play a crap ton of minutes. And so that's why Achiuwa is probably, I say probably, not my favorite dude because I don't like his fantasy game all that much. To me, it really does take like a solid 32-ish minutes out of Precious to get him to fan value. But he may very well do that right now. So I'm on the back here, and then the Knicks are off for a while. So maybe it's a terrible decision. Roto, maybe you could squeeze a game out right now. Bucks sat everybody, so this game was a throwaway. We're actually just going to skip right over it. It doesn't matter for either team because it was over after 25 minutes. Spurs got Wemby back, but apparently was sucking wind a little bit in this ball game, trying to get himself right from an illness. Still put a perfectly good fantasy line, but apparently wasn't feeling very good. Jeremy Sohan had 14 and 8, maybe a little bit of a last hurrah for a number of these dudes. Chris Paul, 8 assists in 28 and a half minutes. Again, a little bit of a last hurrah. What am I doing with the Spurs? Obviously, Wemby's a start. I'm going to hold Chris Paul to see how this De'Aaron Fox acclimation goes, integration, whatever word you want to use there. Stephon Castle, I'm going to hold in points leagues, but probably not in straight 9-cat. And Devin Vassell is the other guy that I would keep on my roster. I don't think anybody else on the Spurs even has a shot. That's, of course, once De'Aaron Fox shows up. For the Grizzlies, no John Morant was back, no Desmond Bane. Excuse me. Flippity flip him. And then Bane is technically day-to-day, but I think it's probably a little longer than that. Surprised to see Luke Kennard really do very little. He got marginalized hard, and Santi Aldama had a down ball game as well. And this was... Now, again, the game was a blowout, so that also messed things up. But, like, G.G. Jackson took 20 shots in this game. 20 shots! Is he going to be the Desmond Bane fill-in? Maybe. He's been out for most of the season, so I'll be honest with you guys. I really have no idea what they're actually planning on doing with G.G. Jackson. He's going to get picked up in a lot of spots after that ball game. But, like, he's been healthy for 2.5 weeks or so, and he hadn't done anything like this. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be this every ball game. I think in the next one you might see more Luke Kennard again. You'll have a Santi Aldama game. It's very possible that the Grizzlies kind of rotate through who gets to do stuff besides Ja and JJJ. The safest, and Zach Edey had a big ball game here as well, despite the fact that LaRavia, Aldama, and was Brandon Clark healthy for this game? I think Brandon Clark might have been out, so that probably helped on the Edey front. Keep that, by the way, in the back of your mind. When Brandon Clark is out and they don't have one of their main center backups, that's a big help for Edey. I think the third safest guard wing is probably still Kennard if he's starting. I mean, obviously Desmond Bane, but he's hurt right now. But first of all, I wouldn't use a move on any of this stuff with the Grizzlies if you have a weekly moves limit. If you're thinking Roto, I don't think I would start anybody on the Grizzlies beyond JJJ and Ja, and you could probably go Edey if we find out again that they're thin at center on a given night. Maybe Aldama would be the other one. Santi is, we've seen him have some pretty big ball games, and this one happens to be a down one. But the Grizzlies are super confusing right now. This is the no De'Aaron Fox, but also no Zach LaVine Kings game, so you knew Keon Ellis was going to have a nice one. This was the sort of the one-game spot play for Keon. Whenever we can, we do. They beat Minnesota. Wolves are still down Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. So Naz Reid, we've been waiting for this the whole damn season to finally have the Naz Reid, you get to go start for a few games stretch. He blew the last one because he sprained a finger, but he played through it in this ball game and he seemed fine with 30 points on 19 shots. I don't know how long Julius Randle is going to be out, but Naz Reid is going to absolutely cook the whole time. It's going to be awesome. He has top 50 potential when he gets to actually start like this. This was part of the handicap. We just didn't think it was going to take 50 games for him to finally get a start. Jaden McDaniels, all systems go. Mike Conley is probably startable if you need assists and some threes and some steals with Dante DiVincenzo out. The minutes generally in the high 20s to low 30s right now just because they don't have that many other options. And again, it's a low upside play with Conley, but it is a 9-cat worthwhile guy right now. I don't think I would use a move on Conley and head-to-head because, again, we know that a lot of this is tied to DiVincenzo and Randle. But Roto, I think you could because you could move on from him if somebody exciting pops up on the wire. Pelicans are super confusing. We just had a conversation about New Orleans with Alex Barutha. That episode is going to air a little bit later on today. Beyond the fact that Trey Murphy looks like the best player in the universe right now, the Pelicans are very confusing. Zion was in. DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram out. 2 of those 3 guys probably out for the year. We don't know if Brandon Ingram is ever going to come back or if he's going to get traded first. So McCollum got 22 shots. Zion only 13 shots, which is kind of surprising here. But those are the 3 main guys you don't have to worry about. Yves Missy played 34 minutes in this ball game, which I thought was an interesting note and maybe a positive sign about what they're going to do with him down the stretch. This season's dead. This is a dead year for the Pelicans. They're absolutely terrible. They're 12-38. They've lost 6 games in a row. They're just not close. So how far do they push the regulars? I don't really know. Javonte Green got the start, so keep one eye on him. Jose Alvarado at 8-4 off the bench in 22 minutes, which is not enough playing time, but I added him everywhere after he had that big fill-in game. Jordan Hawkins only played 14 minutes here. I don't know how much of that was him coming back from illness and how much of it is just like he's not one of the first guys up. But, that doesn't really track because before Hawkins went down, it seemed like he was kind of like part of the mix. Even when the team was healthy, he was part of the mix. He was getting 20 to 24 minutes even when most of the team was there. And now DeJounte Murray's out of the picture. This illness, by the way, is absolutely killing players right now. Like, they're getting crushed. I'm assuming it's the flu. They haven't reported it, but I had it a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't move for 2.5 days. So recovery-wise, there was no way I was going to be able to get into an NBA game. I'm still coughing up a lung, and it's been... When did I start coughing for the flu? When did I start feeling crummy? The 16th, I had a tickle in my chest on January. So trade deadline day will be 3 weeks, and I still can't operate the way I did before. I'm finally getting closer to it now. So just from that perspective, I think some of what we saw yesterday was Hawkins just not having his wind back. I think Jordan Hawkins ends up being the guy who steps up and gets a bunch of shots. Does that translate to 9-cat value? Again, I don't really know. So of all the fringe guys, who are we using a roster spot on right now? I think Missy probably would be the first in line because it seems like he'll get to do more down the stretch. Alvarado would probably be my second choice if I was sort of trying to post up on some of these things. And then, I don't know, Hawkins after that? It's weird, man. Zeke Naji got a start for Denver. He played 31 minutes, and, whatever. Bad defensive opponent playing alongside Jokic. You're going to get some pretty good looks. I'm not picking up Zeke Naji. Christian Brown, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic. These guys are starts right now. Aaron Gordon, when he comes back, for me, is a punt free throw guy. And then Russ, try to hang on. He was playing really well, but it sounds like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, so I get it if you can't. Indy, it took everything in their power to beat the Jazz, who are actually playing some of their guys again. Aaron Nesmith had a good game, but you're not doing anything with that. Andrew Nembhard was solid, if unspectacular. You're going to hold on there. No real notes on Indy. For Utah, Colin Sexton went down with an ankle sprain 2.5 minutes into the ball game. That's the worst. That blows up the whole week. For weekly leagues, it blows up a games cap if you're in Roto, and it just sucks if you're in a regular old daily head-to-head. But it's great for Keontae George because he's going to get a bunch more playing time now. He slots back in most likely as the full-time shooting guard alongside Isaiah Collier. Jordan Clarkson is going to get a bunch of extra work also. I don't like Clarkson for 9-cat. We've been down this road 1,000 times, but if you're, again, sort of hard streaming head-to-head, Clarkson is a good option in those spots. What the hell's Utah's schedule like this week? They actually start at 5-7 on Friday. That's a particularly nice spot. I would, and I remember on our weekly preview show, I said I'm comfortable with guys using one roster move this week and saving everything else for trade deadline stuff. I'm comfortable if you want to use that roster move on Clarkson and then just ride him through next week. But also bear in mind, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, these guys are all on the block. So crap can go down quick. I think what I would probably do with this Colin Sexton injury is just hope he's not out long and make sure that Keontae George is fired up now. This is a much better opportunity for him. Otherwise, Isaiah Collier, we've talked about him a bunch. He belongs on all 8-cat rosters and a lot of 9-cat ones. And then, if they're going to play their actual legitimate NBA players, then great. You get those guys into your lineup. Oh, Phoenix. Phoenix. They're not, like, the Suns are not terrible, but they're also not very good. They're the 10 seed now in a 3-way tie with the Kings and the Warriors. They're a half game back of the slumping Mavericks, who will get AD back at some point here soon. Like, the West is weird, man. The Lakers are the 5 seed. Clippers are the 6, which seems crazy because I thought they were playing better. It kind of feels like a top 4 in the West right now, even though they're not really separated by all that much. The Thunder are way out in front of everyone. And then, anyway, when I sidetracked by the Western Conference standings, what are we doing here? This was an overtime game, for one. So if you're wondering why everybody has these big stat numbers, that's why. If you're wondering why Nick Richards only had 2 points and 7 rebounds, it's because DeAndre Ayton curled him up into a ball and dunked him. If you're wondering why Tyus Jones only played 16 minutes, it's because that starting unit got smashed. And I kept saying, I'm going to try to hang on to Tyus Jones through the deadline. Wow, that's hard right now. But I can wait 2 more days and just to see. What if he gets moved? What if Tyus gets sent someplace where he gets to play a bunch of minutes? That's a guy I would want in that scenario. And again, I'm trying not to use moves this week. So, like, don't start him if you're in a games cap on Tyus Jones, but let's just hold for 2 days, and then you can drop if nothing changes. Grayson Allen is close. I've said that for a couple of weeks now. Totally fine play in head-to-head. Borderline play in roto, efficiency in threes, basically, and that's fine. He's not going to hurt you in many places. Obviously, the 3 main guys you're starting, even coming off the bench, Bradley Beal's putting up enough numbers there. And no, I'm not interested in Royce O'Neal off of 1 good ball game. Ugh, Phoenix. Portland is equally confusing right now. Donovan Clingan only played 9 minutes in this one, despite overtime. DeAndre Ayton played like almost the entire game, basically. 42 minutes for DeAndre Ayton. He had a 20-20 game. Denny Avdia is cruising, and it's only going to get better if Jeremy Grant gets shut down or sent anywhere. But the Blazers have won 8 of their last 9 ball games. They're playing great right now. Shaedon Sharpe is a tough hold. I'll admit that. He's not my favorite player anyway. I've been referring to him as a punt play, and I think I'd pretty much stick by that reasoning. I don't want Sharpe unless I'm hard punting field goal. That's what gets him kind of back to mostly startable. Anthony Simons, I still think he's probably a sell. DeAndre Ayton is a sell. Jeremy Grant, you're not going to get anything for him, but he's a sell. Even if they play these guys past the deadline, at some point, they'll stop. Scoot is a hold, despite the lower minutes here. Toumani Camara, same. Nothing changed for me in this ballgame other than I'm a little more worried about a Clingan stash paying off soon. It might be later. So that one becomes tougher. He didn't play a minute, not 1 second in this game. I think Robert Williams is the best stash on the Blazers. He's going somewhere. There's just a bidding war happening right now between the Lakers and like the Mavs and maybe not as much the Mavs anymore. But like, I'm sure the Pacers are involved because they picked up Thomas Bryant, but that's probably not good enough. There are a lot of teams out there that could use Robert Williams. Some of them as a starter, Lakers. Some of them as a solid bench piece, name your team. So he's going somewhere where he's playing 20 minutes probably, and then if it's the Lakers, it'll be more than that, basically as much as his body can handle. And then Kamara, who I've talked about before, he's among not my topmost tier of deadline guys, but right below that. And then the Warriors, I mean, I can't figure out the Warriors to save my life. Basically, at this point, Draymond Green came back. He played 29 minutes. He's a punt points play. Steph is obviously a play, as he's slowed a bit while the team is slowed. And Andrew Wiggins is a play. And I don't think it extends any farther than that for the Dubs. I'm sure they're trying to aggregate a bunch of these dudes and go get somebody interesting. We've heard the rumors that the Warriors are literally calling every team in the NBA to ask about their best player. And did we just get? Oh, look at that! We just got a trade while we're on air. Man alive, that's crazy. All right, we're gonna break this trade here in just a second. Let's just finish up this last ball game. Over on the Orlando side, Cole Anthony had another big one. That's his 3rd good game in a row, despite the Magic getting healthy. I'll have to admit, I don't know how he's doing it. I'm going to hold Goga Batadze. I know he hasn't been that good, but I do think that eventually he gets himself back into the sort of right headspace. Not a pun. Paolo Banchero has been awful. At some point, he'll be better. Franz continues to be decent enough. Those are the three guys I'm holding on the Magic right now. Cole Anthony, I don't trust against the games cap because I just think I feel like he's going to run out of gas at some point here. But they have a back-to-back, a Sacramento-Denver back-to-back. Yowza. Life doesn't get any easier for these Magic. Wednesday, Thursday, where, you know, if you wanted to go Cole Anthony there and maybe hope he gets traded someplace, maybe. I don't think I would use a move on him, and I definitely don't have the stones to play him in Roto. But now, let's go to the trade that just broke. Man, this is crazy. What are we doing here? I don't know that this changes almost anything for anybody, but a trade happened, and we're going to log them all. So let's throw it up on the screen. Ba-boom, there it is. The 76ers are trading Caleb Martin to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs can't stop, won't stop. And if you're wondering who's going back the other way, well, lucky for you, I can share this tab. Quentin Grimes and Philly's 2025 second rounder are going back to Philadelphia. So the Mavs are giving up a second rounder and Quentin Grimes to get Caleb Martin. I don't understand this trade just from a, like, what? What are we doing here? This is beyond, like, we're just trading the same dude. I think Caleb Martin is going to play a slightly larger spot on the floor than Quentin Grimes, but, like, by all accounts, and I mean this with all the respect in the universe, we just traded player X for player X and a 2025 second round pick. I don't understand this one. I have to assume that it has something to do with, like, who someone's going to have to pay in the not too distant future. It feels more contractual than anything else. But, like, what are we getting here? You know, Caleb Martin a little tougher, Quentin Grimes a little more offense. I don't think either one of these guys, I don't think anything really changes here. Quentin Grimes was going to be fighting for minutes in Dallas. He's going to be fighting for minutes in Philadelphia. Caleb Martin was fighting for minutes in Philadelphia. I think he was actually hurt for their last ball game, but he's going to be fighting for minutes in Dallas now. This is super strange. I guess this is good for Grimes because he could potentially come in, and as long as Paul George is still out, like, he could take a bunch of those Ricky Council minutes or a bunch of those Justin Edwards minutes, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And we've heard that Joel Embiid is trying to get back this week and Paul George is trying to get back by the end of this week. So I can't imagine that this is a long-term Quentin Grimes gets to do stuff run. And then looking over on the Dallas side, like, the front court is jammed up right now. You got Gafford, you got Anthony Davis, you got PJ Washington. At some point, you'll have Derek Lively. I guess this, like, is Caleb Martin more a 3 than Quentin Grimes was? I guess so. Does this create more competition at the 3 for PJ Washington? Maybe. Does it create more competition for playing time with Klay Thompson? Maybe. I think there was competition on both sides before, and there's competition now. I don't understand this trade basically for either team. And I feel like this is good for Philly because Quentin Grimes is kind of interesting, and, like, there's still a little bit of an unknown going on now. Is this Philly saying that they think that they're going to get their guys back? It's certainly not a we're blowing it up thing, but I don't know. This one's confusing the hell out of me. Anyway, that's probably enough of that. Let's talk for a moment about UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up today using promo code OLDMAN, or just click on the link in the show description and unlock up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's a 50% deposit match clip and a free play. And right now they have a 56% odds boost available. And as folks that are watching on YouTube can see, I actually already put together a card today. Let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can, whoops, I made it too big. That's the card I'm looking at right now. I went Ivica Zubac's higher than 28.5 point board and assist. Donovan Mitchell, I went higher, and Emmanuel Quickley, I went lower. I'm hoping that Quickley struggles a little bit in this ball game. I don't know. Who knows? This is probably going to be a clunker. I only did $2, but I was using the odds boost, so I figured I would just take a swing at it. Maybe I should have gone more than 3 players. Go big or go home, right? Not this time. I went home. So that's what I did today. I have no strong feelings on it. I was just putting this together on the fly on a different episode of the show. So you guys get to see it. Play along with me over at UnderdogFantasy.com. If you like those picks, you can. If you don't, you don't. I don't care. It's just a lot of fun to just throw these in. It takes a couple of minutes. And again, you won $2 if you want on a play. 3x, 5x, go on and so forth, and try to build up a little bit of a bankroll, and we can do it together. It's fun. Let's hang out. Thanks for watching, everybody. That is our Monday recap show here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Bespris, and if you make it to this point of the program, you have to subscribe. That is the rule, no matter how you're taking in the content. Take a second to like the video, and if you have 2 extra seconds, please go like our trade deadline live show. That's coming up in 2 days. We have cleared 800 likes. It's at 801 right now. I think I'm satisfied. I don't think I'm going to set another goal on that one, but it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit more on it. The more people that pre-like that show, the harder it hits the ground running at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Officially, that's when we're starting on Thursday morning and running for 5.5 consecutive hours. Should be a blast. I'm Dan for Old Man Squad. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys on social media at Dan Bespris on Twitter. So long for now.